Welcome back to the Gen 20 podcast. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Marina.
And today we're talking about female friendships and why supporting other women is so important.
I think female friendships are sacred and should be treated as such. In a world where feminism is often considered like a dirty word and the patriarchy is still keeping us down, there are times when only your girlfriends can understand what you're going through or what you need.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of girls growing up are taught that other girls and women are competition, and we're pitted against each other in many ways, like pretty much from the start of our lives, like, even when we're infants, basically. And I think a lot of normal things too, like periods and stuff, are taught to us in secret and are often shameful in ways that are framed as embarrassing and should be kept quiet.
Oh, totally. I remember in gym class in high school, I had such bad period cramps one day that I had to sit out. And there was another girl who had sprained her ankle. So she was sitting in like on the sidelines with me. And I was like scrunched into like a hovered ball. And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, I don't feel good. And she's like, "Are you going to throw up?" And I said, "No, I just have really bad period cramps." And she's like, "Oh, dang girl, I get those all the time. Do you want some ibuprofen?" And
Aw.
I remember thinking like, oh, wait, this is a unifying thing because I did not know her. We were not friends. And
Mhm.
it was just like this unwritten like solidarity of period pain.
Yeah. Oh, that's like such a sweet, positive memory. Like, I actually got my period on my 13th birthday, and I was out with friends, and I literally just remember I was wearing red shorts, and I was like, thank goodness I thought to wear red shorts. I don't know why that was like so important to me, but like no one, like I didn't say anything to anybody about it, and I felt
Yeah.
like I couldn't say anything to anybody about it.
Right. Because we're taught that it's like a bad thing and that it's embarrassing. And like even to this day, I'm 29. And if I don't feel well and one of my brothers asks what's wrong, I will lie and say like, "Oh, I just have a headache," and if I have
Mm,
cramps, because I'm
yeah.
like still unconsciously embarrassed.
Mhm.
And that's dumb. Guys, like bodies are normal and bodies are natural and we should not be ashamed of anything.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting that it's, like, framed as shameful and embarrassing. As people who get periods, like, we're all experiencing this, and at least to some extent, and going through it, so it's like, why don't we even at least talk about it with each other? But, like, honestly, I didn't even talk about my period or mention my period to my friends for a very long time, probably, like, well into my 20s.
Yeah. And it's not just your periods. There's like so many things that like I didn't grow up with sisters, so I just didn't know about or didn't have anyone to talk to. Like shaving your legs, I didn't have
Mhm.
anyone to talk to about that. And so I don't know how to shave my knee without cutting myself because just like never figured that out and no one ever taught me.
Mhm. I'll show you next time we're in
All right,
person.
yeah, thanks. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
laser all my hair off, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, I mean, when I first started shaving my legs, my mom literally just gave me the razor and was like, "Here you go." So it's not like she showed me either. And it's like weird how we're just expected to like know these things. Like, I feel like there's so many things that I don't know how to do. Like, I don't feel like I don't know how to do my hair well,
Mm-mm.
and so it's always just like there. But like, I mean, even growing up, like my mom never took me to get my hair professionally done and cut. Like, I feel like the only times I've ever had it, like, quote unquote, professionally cut are like at budget cut places
Yeah,
where it's you get your hair
super
cut for like
cuts.
$17. Yeah.
That's where you go. That's where we went. We
Yeah.
went to the mall. Me and my brother
Yeah.
would get our hair cut on the same day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Perfect.
and there's this weird standard of beauty that women are quote unquote supposed to meet,
Mhm.
but I never figured out how to do that or never felt like I could reach those standards, and so often I just feel kind of like a failure as a woman because I can't be womanly enough, which is so
Well,
dumb.
you're not. You're not a failure being a woman, but yeah, I mean, I also relate to that because I feel like I couldn't even like ask people what I was supposed to do with things. Like no one ever showed me how to like apply makeup or how to dress my body or like feel comfortable in clothing and things like that. And like I mean, I mostly wore uniforms growing up. Um so it's like I didn't really even like figure out my own like personal style for a long time. And it's like it's weird that it's all of these things that kind of how they're sort of like how we, identify ourselves, I guess, in a way. Like I see myself as a person who has long hair.
I
And
see you that
like
way too.
yeah, it's like part of my identity, but it's like also so weird that we feel like we can't even talk to other people who might be close to us in our lives about these things without being like ashamed or embarrassed in some way.
Yeah, I think for me it changed once I left my like I think it was even after college, after I moved away from my hometown and like met new people and was able to kind of meet my female friends, new female friends at the age I was rather than, some of my best friends are I've known since I was 6, so we've known each other and for so long that we kind of have all this not baggage, but all this history together.
Mhm.
Where, for example, when I met you at 22, I just came to you as a 22-year-old and vice versa. And so we could kind of start at a more sped up place where we just were talking about things that were more personal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense, and like definitely throughout my 20s, I found like I don't so okay, we can talk about I guess jealousy for a moment. Like I wrote this post a long time ago because I sort of realized that I'm just not a very jealous person. Like I don't really experience jealousy a lot. And when I do start to feel jealous, I know it's because there's something that someone else has that I want for myself. And it's usually in like some level of like success or something they've achieved. That's something that I would like to do one day. And but like I feel like I'm easily able to talk myself through jealousy, but I don't think that that's a skill that most people learn early in life.
That's interesting. I would say I only feel jealousy when it comes to friendships and when I feel like I'm going to be replaced. So I don't know if you
Mhm.
ever watched Even Stevens. Shout out to the people who did. But there was this one episode where Ren had and her best friend got into a fight because her best friend had another best friend. And finally, like the end of the episode was the quote, like, didn't anyone ever tell you you can have more than one best friend? And I think about that all the time, even as an adult, where I've made new friends. And if I feel jealous that one of my girlfriends is closer to really close to another friend, it makes me feel like, oh, am I not being a good enough friend? Which is not true. I'm a great friend, I think.
Mhm.
And it is a reminder that we can have like you can have more than one close friend, you can have more than one best friend, and that like if you allow yourself to be close and meet your friends as they are, it will just build into something even better.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that it kind of comes along with like realizing that someone else's success is not your failure. Um and it's someone else can like you can have more than one best friend. Like success is not like a zero sum kind of game. Like we can all have success and we can all, succeed in different ways, the same ways like one person achieving something you want to achieve is not does not mean that you cannot do that same thing. And I think it's just really interesting how I think the quote like community over competition has kind of I feel like it's more popular in the past like couple of years,
Hmm.
where people are really focused on building community. And it's like kind of interesting to me at least because I feel like we're not necessarily taught how to collaborate with other people. I think there are a lot of people, and I mean, you see it all the time where it's sort of like people tend to like use each other in ways that they can improve their own like lives and their own careers, all that kinds of stuff. And it's like they, instead of just, collaborating, I feel like I see it as like it's like how can you help me do better instead of like how can we all help each other do better.
Yeah, and for clarity, we want the former, not the latter. We want people to grow together, not use each other for
Yeah,
personal
yeah.
gain. Yeah, because if you think about it, it's better when people come with different perspectives, and it's great that we can embrace each other's differences because we'll grow more together. And I think back, like my friends who I grew up with, I always thought we were so similar, and then as we like expanded our lives and went to college and moved on, I realized how different we all were and how that has allowed us our friendship to blossom, and we've become even closer over time because we now will talk about all the nitty-gritty and the personal and the emotional stuff
Mhm.
that we wouldn't have talked about as kids. And I know, like, there's a special feeling when you are just having a shit day, sorry language, when you're just having the worst day and you know that you have one or two friends who you can call and they'll pick up the phone no matter what. Like, that's sacred. That's important to have. Everyone deserves to have that kind of friend.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that it's because there's also this idea of like toxic relationships and relationships that are bad for you. And I think that in general, most of my friendships are, healthy friendships and relationships. Although there's one particular relationship I have that I feel is quite tumultuous in a way. And it kind of is, it's a person who I almost never walk away from conversations like feeling good after them. And it's like, I feel like it almost makes me feel bad about myself in some ways that I'm not doing X, Y, and Z well enough, or, like haven't, achieved something that this person thinks I should have done or whatever. And I guess I really need to evaluate that for myself if that's like a healthy relationship for me to continue having.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. I a couple of years ago had a friendship like that where I just felt like I gave and gave and gave and just couldn't do enough, couldn't help that person, couldn't make them happy. And I realized that I was my worst version of myself when I would be with her, and I wasn't being a good friend to her either. And so finally I just said we basically broke up. Like, I messaged her and we had a really hard conversation, and but I've never looked back. I think it was the best for both of us because we weren't a good pair, and I I want to be the kind of friend who can pick up a friend and help her continue to grow. And I don't think, we're not always meant to be friends with people forever. People come into our lives when we need them, and sometimes they stay for a year, sometimes they stay forever, sometimes they're just passing through. But it's important to be able to see that for what it is, and hold on to the people in your life who will continue to help you grow,
Mhm.
and like thank the people who are leaving for what they taught you while they were there.
Yeah, I think as hard as those friendships can be in those relationships even, they teach you the importance of boundaries and as well as respect and honesty in friendships because I feel like I would rather have to have a hard conversation like that than to continue on for years in this negative space where we're just bringing out the worst in each other. And this kind of leads me to another topic I want to talk about is gossiping. And I think
Mm.
gossip is it's a sign of a negative relationship in my opinion, and I don't think that it doesn't mean that it's not okay to talk with trusted people in your life about potential issues you might be having, even if that's like with another person and you're not sure what to do. But I think a lot of times when we want to gossip about someone, basically just talk shit about them, we kind of put it under this thing I'm calling the concern blanket. And we will talk about it as if we are concerned about something that person is doing in their life, when in reality, we're not really concerned about them. We just want to talk shit about them. And I think we've all been in those places, whether it was like in elementary school, middle school, high school. I especially see it in those kinds of age
Mhm.
groups. But like, I know it extends to people in their 20s and 30s and 40s. And I'm really just envisioning it largely as, what we collectively refer to as the Karen. That's those kind of people who are talking about those things. I'm just laughing because Marina's middle name is Karen, but she's not
Yeah.
Karen.
I'm
Trust
not a
me.
Karen, guys. Only by name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to all those named Karens who are suffering right now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I laugh because I have distinct memories of friendships in high school that I remember someone came up to me and was like, "Marina, we're just really worried about you." And I was like, "Oh, I'm okay. Like, I'm feeling good." And they're like, "No, we're just like, we feel like you're being a bad friend." And
Mm,
I found out that these people were all discussing me and how apparently crappy of a friend I was. And I went to another mutual friend who shared these people's like who shared contact with these people, and she was like, "No, I think you like no, you haven't. You're fine." And I just remember one, I was devastated because I held other people's opinion of me in too high regard, and
mhm.
two, like I've always prided myself on being a good friend. You know, I'm not perfect, but I try really hard to be a good friend, and so that was so painful and unnecessary. And it was that, like, I don't know if they were bored or if they were dealing with their own things and channeling it to me, but it was this concern blanket where they were really just talking badly about me. And then I was like, that's, I did not stay friends with them. We were not
Yeah,
meant to be friends together.
that was for the
Um,
best, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's, interesting. We probably all have, at least one memory that comes to mind of that, and, like, where people were, just talking about us behind our backs for no reason, and I this is such a crazy story to think back on, but, I mean, I was very outspoken. I kind of already am outspoken. I just
I love that
tend to
about you.
speak up when I have issues with things, but yeah, in high school, there was this girl, I think she started our high school our junior year, and I have this thing where I just really like to make new people feel welcome because, I mean, when I was in middle school, I was the only new kid there the whole year, and my group of friends, like, they welcomed me, and thank you for that. But so she was new, and so I was like, I mean, I can be friends with her, like, that's cool. Our high school was very friendly in my opinion, and this girl, oh, I hope she's doing well, I really do, because it was just so she started junior year. I'd been dating my boyfriend, who is now my husband, since our sophomore year of high school, and he played hockey. So our senior year, he had his last hockey game, which also happened to be the night of her birthday. And his hockey game is like 10 minutes away from where she was having her like birthday sleepover or whatever. And I was like, "Okay, I'm just going to be like an hour late because I want to go to this hockey game." And she told me not to bother coming to her birthday party because I was choosing my boyfriend over my friends.
That's rough.
And
That's rough.
I just look back at that, and it's just so confusing because first of all, y we've been dating longer than I've even known you, and it's kind of rude. Like, I don't know, I feel like I would never say something like that to a person, and, I mean, I have more stories about how toxic this friendship was that I can, talk about off air eventually, but I don't know, it's just I feel like even at that time, I recognized that that was a very negative relationship for me.
Yeah. But it also brings into light the complications between like your female friendships and your relationships, and
Mhm.
how it's funny. I remember my first boyfriend in high school, we were going to go on a date, like, and by a date, I mean like we were going to go get pizza, like very low key. And I, we were trying to figure out our schedule, and I said, "Oh, well, I'm hanging out with my girlfriends tonight, but I can cancel and move it to another day, and we can go out tonight." And he told me, "You should never cancel on your friends because friendships are forever and relationships might not last." And like interestingly, he did break up with me a month later, but I thought it was I thought it
Wow, it
was
was very profound for a high school boyfriend.
right. I thought it was pretty wise. And since that moment, I've made it a point to never put romantic relationships ahead of my female friendships, but they do have to hold equal importance. So
Mhm.
I think it's a problem if anytime you want to hang out with your girlfriend, she brings her boyfriend, whether it's like a girls' night or not.
Mhm.
But, you know, when we support our friends, regardless of their gender, we should also support their relationships. And you know, if your friend is in a really toxic relationship, you want to try to help them stay safe, and if they're in a really great relationship, you also want to support that. Now
Mhm.
my friends are all getting married, and I consider myself lucky to be friends with their husbands.
Mhm.
Like your husband, I consider him my friend. I'm excited to see him. When I'm FaceTiming you and you hand the phone to him, I'm very excited to talk to him.
Mhm.
He might
Yeah, I
not
know.
feel that way, but
No, I think he does, I'm pretty sure. For relationships, like, in general, I don't like, I think that we should be comfortable being open and honest with our friends and, saying when we genuinely have a concern. But I think, putting the concern blanket on just to talk about other people is kind of a warning sign, because if people are willing to talk about other people in front of you, like, they're willing to talk about you when you're not there.
exactly.
And I don't think that's healthy. But, I mean, I like also agree that if, like, someone is, if I come to you, Marina, and I'm like, I'm really unsure of this friendship, like, can we talk about something that happened and what I should do? Like, I am sharing a secret with you, basically, like, of my, emotions and what I'm going through. And I think it's also important that we respect that. Like, I wouldn't go tell someone else that you were having issues with a friend. And, like, I think it's like a boundary.
Yeah, I think it's important to set boundaries and keep each other's boundaries. Respect your friends. Know without being told when something is a secret, right? So if Nicole came to me and said, "Oh, I want to talk out this problem," well, I'm not a gossip, but I would just inherently know, okay, this is a secret that we're going to keep between us. I'm here to help, but as your friend, I'm just trying to give you the tools you need to make a good decision for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's important in friendships too, to know that what we share with each other is, just between us, basically.
Like there are unspoken rules that I think women
Hold on.
who've been through it just seem to know, like you know to always keep your friends' secrets and look out for one another and support each other's success even if you don't understand it. Like if Nicole came to me and said, "I went skydiving for the first time," I would be super excited for her. I'm not trying to go skydiving, but I'm excited that she's doing something she's excited about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important that we can share in each other's emotions.
There's a quote from Madeleine Albright that I think sums it up, that there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. And it goes, hopefully, without saying that it's not just women in your friendship circle or women who are similar to you, but all women of all backgrounds and colors and sexual identities. Like everyone deserves to be part of this, uh, you know, coven, for lack of a better word. And it's important that we all lift each other up because we grow taller together.
Amen. I cannot say it better.
So we're going to wrap things up because baby B is a little excited about his mom's microphone and fun accessories, but we'll leave you with this. If you have a close friend who you love and adore, let them know because you can never tell them too much. And if you have a friendship that is really painful, maybe it's time to reevaluate that because I think it's important to work hard at your relationships and friendships, but they shouldn't be hard. They shouldn't hurt you. So, any last words, Nicole, that you want to share with our community?
I just want to say that I think it's really important to have female friendships and to lift other women up and women identifying people, especially because we have so much working against us already that it's really up to us to, lift each other up and do what we can to help other women when we can. And I think it's really important that we try to do something every day to help other women.
Amen. This has been another episode of the Gen 20 podcast. We would love it if you rated and reviewed, and we'll see you next time.